First of all, Cindy Money, stand up, Cindy. Blair Money's wife. And Heather Ashby. Not here. Well, listen, you don't come on time, you don't get recognized. She was the former chaplain and director of assisted living. Carolyn Mitchell, are you here?
Yes, she's here.
Okay. You were recognized. You're not here to accept your plaudits, but we're pleased that you were part of PVN. Okay, we have so many treasures for you all. This is the work of several people from the Bugle. It's a booklet. It looks wonderful, and it's something you're going to want to have. We don't want you to have to deal with it during dinner, so after dinner, be sure and pick this one up. Where are they going to be? They're going to be on a table out there somewhere, okay? Celine, there's Celine right there. And David Lodwick, where are you, David? I know you're here. Where's David? They always stand. There he is, David Lodwick. They did the booklet, and we so appreciate it. Also, Celine's responsible for the timeline, and the timeline started when PVN started, despite what people might think. It started right then. We're glad to have you here. You get one booklet per unit, and we're pleased to have them. Okay, we've got more treasures for you. You're going to get a water bottle holder. This is really terrific for those of you who are really athletic and out walking and you need your sustenance. This is a great thing to hold your water bottle. They'll be given out over the weekend, and if you don't get one tonight, you'll get it over the weekend at the front desk or at Connie's desk. Okay. Thank you. The rest of you come on in. I want to call on Dustin. You all know Dustin. He is the executive director for PVN. And we're glad to have him here in an official capacity.
I paid Cindy to say that, so thank you all. Good evening. Before I begin, a proclamation that's from our mayor of Dallas, Eric Johnson. I just want to say, take a moment to say a big thank you to Cindy. She co-chaired the 45th anniversary committee. They've been working, her and Judy Morris have been working on this project and this event. It's a 3-day extravaganza. They've been working on it for about 6 or 7 months, maybe even more. I also want to include in that the PVN representative of that committee, our Director of Resident Services, Lisa Englander. Let's give them a big round of applause. As we know, tonight's a very special night honoring PVN and its 45th year history. We have many to thank for us getting here to this day, starting with our founders, the teammates that have worked over the 45 years providing excellent service to our residents. But above all, it's the residents that make this community work and the culture and the commitment and the pride that they have. So I thought what would be best is to honor our residents that have been the past village council presidents that are here today. So with that being said, the first one, he needs no introduction. He is the man, the myth, the legend, and movie star. He has lived here at PVN for 19 years and was the village council president in 2009 and 2010. We'd ask him to stand if he can and honor him. Lucky Luckadoo. The next village council president served time in 2013 and 2014. She's lived here 22 years, and when I first met her, I knew she was all business. She quickly told me how to act and be an ED here at PVN. She's not here with us. She couldn't make it tonight, but let's give her a big round of applause. Billy Myers. The next village council president we'll recognize tonight is a man that actually served 3 terms, 2015, 2016, and 2021. Him and his wife have lived here at PVN. They always say with every great man, there's a great woman. And that definitely holds true with his beautiful wife, Pat. And let's recognize Noel Pittman. The next PVN Village Council president that we will recognize served her term in 2018. Some call her the Queen of PVN with all her leadership that she's done, the boards that she's served on. She's a great representative of PVN. Let's please acknowledge Mary Ann Till. And the next gentleman that we will recognize is unfortunately cannot be here today. He is in Europe on a trip, but he served 14 years, and he probably served the most difficult year in 2020, right during the pandemic. So while he's not here, let's give him a big round of applause, Mr. David Jordan. And I mentioned her before, but the next village council president served her term in 2022. It was a great welcoming for me because that was the first year that I started. And unfortunately, I only got to partner with her for 3 years, but she did a tremendous job. She's been here 10 years. If she would please stand so we could recognize her over the right side, Miss Judy Morris. And I don't know if I've seen him tonight, but previous village council president served in 2023, 2024. Again, with every great man, there's a great woman, and his beautiful wife, Linda. But he did a great job. We partnered together and conquered a lot. Let's please acknowledge Gilbert Brown. And the last village council president, which is our current president, the only thing I can say is his talents include beating me at pickleball and imitating me during the Gray Fox Follies. Let's please acknowledge our current president, Mr. Dave Driscoll. And I also want to give a special shout out to a young lady that's here, all 101 years young. She was a vice president under, I believe, Noel Pittman when he was president. Miss Joyce Forney, right here. All right, so here's the proclamation. So I will read the last piece of it from the City of Dallas. It says, the City of Dallas acknowledges Presbyterian Village North for its enduring commitment, support, and attention to the citizens of Dallas. Now, therefore, I, Eric J. L. Johnson, Mayor of City of Dallas, do hereby extend special recognition on May 30th, 2025 to Presbyterian Village North in honor of their 45th anniversary. All right, please welcome our next speaker. He and Forefront Living have provided tremendous leadership to not only PVN, but myself as well, which is deeply appreciated. Let's please welcome to the stage the CEO of Forefront Living, Mr. Tim Mallett.
Thank you, Dustin. I don't have to lean down like he did to meet the microphone. Dustin, I'm not sure if your words were as intentional, but as you described every resident council person, when you came to Billy, you mentioned serving time. So that was a little bit of information I did not know about Billy, so I'll be sure and pass that on. Well, I don't really have, is that better? I don't really have a speech per se. I am here to make an introduction, and when Cindy asked me to do this, I think she approached me with great trepidation, and she reminded me, you are here to introduce the keynote speaker. You are not the keynote speaker. So, with that in mind, it's interesting when you introduce somebody that you know very well and someone whose background you know very well. I think everyone knows that Doug Hawthorne is going to be speaking to us in a few minutes. And Cindy sent me, I think what it really equates to the Encyclopedia Britannica as far as Doug's background and experience going all the way back to 1970 to his residency, which was then the forerunner of THR, and through Doug's leadership, he transformed healthcare as we know it really in this part of Texas and North Texas, in Texas, and beyond. And what was really interesting when I got to know Doug was on the operating board when I joined Forefront Living, and I had one of my first lunches with board members, and it was with Doug, and we were talking about his background, and I knew that he was CEO of THR, and I knew all of the wonderful things that he had done, but one of the very first things he did was he served as interim administrator at Grace Presbyterian. And he saw, I think, at that time and through that lens and that association, and I would have to tell you at a very young age, because he was still a resident, that something different needed to happen, that there was a gap and at that time, that would have been in the early 70s, in our continuum of care and health care. There really wasn't something that served an independent population who may or may not need services. And it was then that the concept of a village was born. The idea that we could serve our seniors better was born. And really, as Doug and I talked and we prepared for today, he mentioned it's really 50 years since this idea became reality, since he did the research, since he brought it forward, and he made that idea happen. And what we have today is really through the eyes of a 30-year-old, through someone who probably never thought 4.5 decades later that we would all be, sitting together enjoying this vision. I was asked, I was with a group just a minute ago, and Doug was with us, and he stepped away, and someone said, well, how long has he worked here? And I go, he was here before this was. So, with that, I'd like to introduce Doug Hawthorne to the group. I think our visionary, our founder, and for many of us, board member, friend, co-worker. So thank you, Doug. Welcome.
That is the shortest speech I've ever heard Tim give. But thank you for those kind words, Tim. And what a joy to be here this afternoon with all of you and to celebrate this 45th anniversary of Presbyterian Village North and to reminisce a bit about its history, but more importantly, to talk about what it is today and what it will continue to be into the future. My dear friend, Cindy Hudgens, invited me to spend some time here with you all this afternoon, just based on my part in the early years of the village. She was very clear that I had 10 to 15 minutes to speak because I stood between you and the gala dinner and other cocktails. And I said, Cindy, how in 10 minutes can I tell 45 years of history of a place like PVN? But here we go. So, the story is truly a tale of faith, a tale of hope, and a tale of a lot of determination. This project was one that I was privileged to be a part of 48 years ago when the administrator of Presbyterian Hospital, Rod Bell, asked me if I would be willing to work on a project that would bring to Dallas the first real community-based retirement community for people who wanted to continue a lifestyle of engagement and joy and activity. Well, I was a hospital administrator, not a long-term care administrator. But the project made, in my mind, a lot of sense because what we've done in healthcare over the many, many years is take care of people when they needed to be inside the four walls of a hospital, but we didn't do very well when they were discharged or when they had to go on to other parts of their life. And so it excited me that I might have a chance to be a part of something that would be really spectacular for the city of Dallas. And so Rod said to me, I need for you to go and, make some visits around the country to see if there's something that's unique that we might also have as a prototype that would include all of the elements of an environment like I believe Dallas does not have, but needs to have. And so off I went to Illinois, to Chicago, off I went to Florida, off I went to Arizona, looking for communities that would have all levels of care for individuals who were looking towards retirement. And I told Mr. Bell, even at that age, I said, Mr. Bell, you've mentioned retirement living. For some reason, I have a sense that it ought to be refiring living. Because that's what we need to establish. Is some place where people can continue their life, but in a place that's comfortable and secure. So let me read a couple of things to you. This is a book that was published on the 25th anniversary of Presbyterian Hospital of Dallas, written by a man by the name of Paul Rosenberg. He was a reporter for the Dallas Morning News for 28 years, a well-respected author. And some of this is better read than said, so I will work through it swiftly, but it'll give you a chance to hear some of the early thinking about what this place might be. There's also a picture, which you can't see, but it's in this book, on the day of June 6th, 1980, when this place opened. And at the podium is Dr. William Elliott. Dr. Elliott was the senior pastor of Highland Park Presbyterian Church. Mr. Burton Gilliland, who was the chairman of the board of Presbyterian Hospital of Dallas, and David Erb, who was our chaplain for many, many years at Presbyterian. So those four gentlemen stood at a podium, and Bill Elliott dedicated this beautiful place. So here are a couple of elements of the beginnings. In 1968, the inkling of Presbyterian Village North began to form. This retirement home just off Forest Lane in North Dallas seemed the answer to something that the Presbyterian Church had long been concerned with: how to keep a family quality in one's long life. At the same time, to make it something that could be a project in Dallas like no other. A similar retirement community was named Presbyterian Village, and it was in Oak Cliff. Mr. Bell was the chairman of the board of Presbyterian Village in Oak Cliff. He received a lot of inquiry in his position as president of Presbyterian Hospital. Shouldn't we have something for retirement and senior living on the north side of Dallas? And that sparked his interest, and he began planning to see what we might be able to do. Presbyterian Hospital at the time that his thinking was beginning was Dallas Presbyterian was just 4 years old. 1966 is when it opened. And so he started looking for land soon after that. Found 2 or 3 locations that thought might be good, but none of them panned out. One of them, because it was so expensive, 80 cents a square foot, the board said, no, we can't do that. So he moved on. And finally, it was Will Carruth, a man who's well respected and known in this community for for all of his contribution, offered this piece of land for us to purchase. He made the offer on a Wednesday, and he said, take it or leave it by Friday. Well, that's action, and I think it was meant to be, because on Friday he got a check, and we owned this property that we're on today. So Rod saw the opportunity to take services that we had at Presbyterian Hospital of Dallas and share them here as we got started. So many of our RNs and nurses came here first to work in the nursing facility. And we also used the director of food service from Presbyterian Hospital of Dallas to set up the food service here at Presbyterian Village North. And by the way, that director of food service was, like me, one of the first people to know about PVN, and she lives here today, Doris Wilson. Where, I don't know if Doris is here. Doris, are you here?
She's not here.
Okay, well, please tell her I mentioned her name. I know we were very close. In fact, that was one of the first departments I ever had in the hospital was food service. So the concept, PVN, functions in an environment that concentrates on being a residential setting, something most residents have been accustomed to most of their lives. The place is beautifully landscaped, providing something aesthetic which many people find so necessary and thus comforting in their later years. Now, this was before we turned a spade of earth. This was the concept that we were working on. The location could not have been better as it developed. The terrain is slightly elevated from most of North Dallas. Roads are excellent and is convenient to the numerous major shopping centers throughout the part of the city. There is also easy access to major highways, medical facilities, and churches. The land is the property of Presbyterian Medical Center, while PVN itself is operated as an affiliate of Presbyterian Medical Center. The plans for PVN were lofty, all of them plausible and likely reachable within the next decade, from 1980 to 1990. Ultimately, it will have approximately 400 living units and 176 nursing unit beds, and be occupied by between 500 and 600 residents. Again, before a spade of earth was turned. So just some comments that I think, again, will solidify the value of this organization that started well before it was finished. Dr. William Elliott, who spoke at the formal dedication in 1980, has described the services of this village this way. This ministry in our community is long overdue and desperately needed, and I rejoice that at long last we all will be on our way to meeting this important need. Rod Bell, President of the Medical Center. PVN is a ministry of living, and added, through Presbyterian Village North, the Lord gives us the stirring response which we can make in His name. Presbyterian Village North will meet the needs which David addresses in his prayers in Psalm 71:9. In time and old age, forsake me not when my strength faileth. So that undergirding the foundation was very clear. And then our chaplain, David Erb, through Presbyterian Village North, we Presbyterians want to demonstrate that our concern for other people is as real and as abiding as our concern for any group of people in our society. So, this little book tells a lot about that history. I must tell you that it was not an overnight sensation. A lot of things, bumps in the road, came early on as we got the architectural plans. We took them to the city of Dallas. They turned us down 3 times, the city council, because we wanted a planned development here. Everything would be approximately where it would stand today, but so far that wasn't going to happen. The neighbors in this wonderful community had a different feeling about what this land might be. And it's going to be a beautiful park for our kids and our families. Well, we spent a lot of nights in people's homes. A lot of coffee, a lot of cookies, a lot of donuts, sharing with them really what this could be for their neighborhood. It was interesting why people would say, so as a hospital, why would you be developing a long-term care program? The average length of stay at Presbyterian Hospital in those days, in the late 70s, was about 7 days. Today it's 3.5 days. And so what we were talking about is building a program where people would spend the rest of their lives in a happy place, where hospitals are often not a very happy place. And so it was a complete change of mindset about what we were doing here. So once we opened in 1980, every projection we made about how the residential units would turn over with time were way off. People were living much longer here because they were in an environment where they were comfortable. Many of the things they had to deal with in their home life, in their neighborhood, were gone, and they felt safe. And it was a community of people where friendships and opportunities took place. So we really didn't have to worry about it. It came along. As I say, the neighbors finally believed in what we were doing. And our mission moved forward. So that is what I would call the rear view mirror of PVN. And now I'd like to talk a few minutes about the windshield. What's in front of us? What can we be, and what will make the difference in this healthcare world? That was always a concept that I try to use in my leadership days. Where can we go? Not necessarily where have we been. We know the past is something that we can remember, but we can't change it. So let's go forward. And so the windshield concept of looking forward came forward. Let me tell you a story about some of your own residents here. About a month ago, I had the privilege of attending a reception over by Deep Ellum for the president of Trinity University, who was here to share about the strategy of the university. She was a remarkable woman, and we're so glad to have her as the president of Trinity. But as I attended Trinity myself in the 60s, I was also privileged to spend 25 years on the board of trustees at Trinity University through 5 presidents, and now we're glad to have Vanessa Beasley. Point being, while I was leaving the reception, I met a man by the name of Fred Meyer. Well, I knew a Fred Meyer in my business days, and he was the CEO of the Tyler Corporation. And so I asked him, I said, Fred, are you a relative of the Fred Meyer I knew? He said, no, I'm not. He said, no, but as we continued, he said that the reason he was at the reception because he has a daughter at Trinity University. Well, of course, that sparked an opportunity to continue our discussion. I said, so what do you do professionally? He said, I'm an architect. I'm an architect. I now have my own firm here in the Deep Ellum area. But for many years, I started my career with the Oglesby architectural firm. Well, again, how history brings you back. I said, I knew the Oglesby Group because they did a number of the facilities on the campus of Presbyterian Village North. And he said, well, how do you know about Presbyterian Village North? Well, I tried to shorten my history, but I gave him a quick one about being a part of it from day one. He said, well, my mother and father lived at Presbyterian Village North. Well, that again opened up a whole new conversation. I want to share their story for just a moment because it is a story that is the heart and soul of this organization, of this village. And it's the same thing, I think, that so many of you have felt when you made that difficult decision to leave your neighborhood or your hometown or a place where you had spent many years to come to a different place. So I was enamored by it, and I said, can I call you and interview you about the experience that your mom and dad had at PVN? Because I'm always trying to learn about what's happened here. And he said, absolutely. So we had a very long conversation. His mother and father's names were Herman and Lee Meyer. They joined the PVN community in 2017. They lived in the villas. They came from Tulsa, Oklahoma. They wanted to be close to their son and their grandson and his family. They wanted a secure, comfortable, independent living and wanted out of the house that they owned. They explored multiple organizations in Dallas. Until they paid a visit to PVN, they had found nothing that met their desires and their needs. What they found at PVN was something that was alive, was engaging, and was comfortable. I'm sure these reasons were the same reasons that many of you chose to come here. A place of comfort, a place of fellowship, a place of community. So, both of Fred's parents were very active, a member of the foundation board. And it's my understanding that Herman spent many a day walking around this campus, all the way around, 10 times. At the age of 89, he did a 5-mile race with his son and grandson. So you talk about active. And he said, his son said, this was a place where he could have all the space he needed to go somewhere. So, and then Lee was a language arts teacher and spent her time making many friendships here. Bridge, physical activities, out to eat, church, everything they wanted to do was important and they could get it here. In 2021, Lee was moved to assisted living. What was nice, Fred said, that he and his grandchildren and his wife could visit Lee anytime, night or day. It was comfortable for them to be together. In 2022, she was moved to hospice here, and at the end of that year, she passed away. So she lived the remaining part of her life here. Herman, in 2023, was taken to the emergency room at Presbyterian Hospital. He was returned here and was in the rehab facility for a number of months as he tried to get stronger. But he passed in 2023 at the age of 92. So for Fred and his family, he said they would never have had this kind of life if it were not for PVN. And that's the life ahead. And that's what's important for all of you, that this is a place where you can live comfortably and know that you're cared for, not by just the remarkable staff that's here, but by each other. That makes such a difference. There is no place that I know of in this community or North Texas that has the reputation that PVN has today. And that's why there are over 100 people who've made a deposit to come to PVN in the years ahead. So hold on to your spot. And finally, what Fred said to me was, they were truly living their lives. And that's what it's all about. I share this story because the windshield of Presbyterian Village North is looking forward to a life of friendships, activity, joy, and community. The windshield of PVN is shiny and bright, where God's love and God's grace provide peace to all. Thanks be to God, and thanks be to all of you who made a significant decision in your lives to make PVN your home. Thank you. All right, I am to introduce, who has already been introduced, Dave Driscoll, your chairman.
Doug, if you'll stand here for 1 minute, I just want to, on behalf of all the PVN residents here, tell you how much we appreciate the time that you spent, the vision that you all had, and this is exactly the way, at least I feel, and I think everybody else feels, this is the vision you had is exactly what we have here today.
Terrific.
And your story about Herman was also a woodworker.
Is that right?
Yes, he was. I met him in the wood shop when I first got here. And the wood shop was something I really enjoyed, and as a consequence, in recognition of what you have done, the time you have spent, I want to present you a gift. And the gift is a handmade pen by me in the PVN woodworking shop.
All right.
And it's got a box, on top of it is engraved the PVN 45th anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Somebody else, I think, is up, huh? Okay. Cindy, come back.
1 second, Cindy, 1 second, I made an error. So before Cindy closes us out, I did make an error. I must have gotten flustered as Tim kept pointing at his watch as I was up here. But I did leave off a name, and it couldn't happen to a nicer gentleman. He served as village council president. Helped me redeem my error with giving him a huge round of applause, Mr. David Lodwick.
recognize David's name because he writes for the Bugle and he writes really well. Thank you. So glad Doug was here. So glad to share with you everything that's going on.